At that point, police said the boy's uncle, Ricky Childs, took the law into his own hands, emerging from a home into the street with a gun. He fired at the 40-year-old Brown, striking him and hitting Childs' teenage nephew, who witnesses said was attempting to help when he was shot. Brown died at the scene alongside Damani. The teenager, Rashid Childs, died at the hospital. This sad example is what we get when we have folks who decide it's their responsibility to use their guns to redress their grievances, Milwaukee Police Chief Edward Flynn said today at a news conference. You know, how sad is that? And every day I have to give you more and more sad news. Doesn't it just seem to be always that way? Aren't we ready for some good news? How about this? Thousands flee the Islamic State group advances on Iraq's Ramadi. More than 2,000 families have fled the Iraqi city of Ramadi with little more than the clothes on their backs, officials said today, as the Islamic State group closed in on the capital of western Anbar province, clashing with Iraqi troops and turning it into a ghost town. The extremist group, which has controlled the nearby city of Fallujah for more than a year now, captured 3 villages on Ramadi's eastern outskirts on Wednesday. The advance is widely seen as a counteroffensive after the Islamic State group lost the city of Tikrit, Saddam Hussein's hometown, earlier this month. Hundreds of U.S. troops are training Iraqi forces at a military base west of Ramadi, but a U.S. military official said the fighting had no impact on the U.S. soldiers there and that there were no plans to withdraw them. The fleeing Ramadi residents were settling in the southern and western suburbs of Baghdad, and tents, food, and other aid were being sent to them, said Sattar Nowrutz, I guess it is, an official of the Ministry of Migration and the Displaced. The ministry was assessing the situation with the provincial government in order to provide the displaced people who are undergoing difficult conditions with better services and help. You know, and it just goes on and on. It's just so depressing. You know, amid chaos, Al-Qaeda consolidates the hold on the Yemen province. Al-Qaeda's branch in Yemen consolidated control over much of the country's largest province today, capturing a major airport, an oil terminal, and the area's main military base, and striking an alliance with local tribal leaders to administer the region. The gains highlight how Al-Qaeda has exploited the chaos in Yemen, where Shiite rebels are battling forces loyal to exiled President Abd Rabbo Mansour Hadi. A 3-week-old Saudi-led air campaign in support of Hadi has so far failed to halt the rebels' advance. Military officials and residents said Al-Qaeda fighters clashed briefly with members of one of Yemen's largest brigades outside Mukalla, the capital of Hadramawt province, which the militants overran earlier this month. The militants then seized control of Riyadh airport and moved to secure their hold on the city's main seaport, which is also an oil terminal. The security officials speaking from Sana'a on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to brief the press, said the leaders of the brigade in charge of protecting the entire area fled. You know, makes sense to me. Why wouldn't they? You know, listen, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to talk about the IRS loses. And the first case I have here is actually a case where the IRS conceded, and you've heard me say many, many times, the IRS only concedes when they're pretty doggone sure they can't win. And that's what's really going on here. So I'm going to talk to you about faulty subchapter S selection is deemed defective. We're talking about corporations now. Don't go away. We'll be right back at the brief messages. I'll make it simple for you. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh, yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. And let's get right down to it. When we talk of... They actually conceded. The faulty Subchapter S election was deemed effective. Here's the thing. A corporation with a subsidiary made an S election that reported to the IRS that it owned all of the subsidiary stock, but later discovered it did not. On finding the error, it had the subsidiary redeem all of the shares that it didn't own. The IRS ruling? The subsidiary was not a qualified subsidiary when the S election was made because it was not 100% owned. So the S election was faulty. But a faulty S election can be deemed effective when the fault was inadvertent and promptly corrected upon being discovered. That was the case here, and the corporation had in all other ways acted properly as a Subchapter S corporation, so its election was upheld. You know what? They were going to lose that anyway. How about this? The IRS loses. Appraisal is sufficient for gift tax purposes. Here's the case. Huber Corporation has operated as a private business since 1883 and has about 250 shareholders, including extended family members, charities, and universities. Now, each year, an accounting firm appraises its stock value, and the appraisal is used in various transactions involving the company's stock. But when family members use the appraisal to value gifts of shares to relatives, the IRS challenged it as being too low. They went to court, and this is what the judge said. Over the prior 6 years, there had been 90 stock sales priced at the appraisal value, even though parties were free to negotiate another price. This indicated that the appraisal was fair market value and sufficient for valuing the gifts, and the IRS was denied their objection. Let me give you one more here. The IRS loses. Mortgage interest can be deducted as a business expense to boost tax savings. Let me tell you about it. An individual deducted interest that he paid on a home equity loan as a business expense instead of as mortgage interest. Now, this increased his tax savings because, unlike mortgage interest deduction, the business expense reduced adjusted gross income and thus increased other deductions with these AGI-related limits. And business expenses aren't subject to the general reduction of the itemized deduction by the 3% of the amount by which AGI exceeds $150,500. But the IRS disallowed the business deduction. He went to court. This is what the judge said. The home loan proceeds were traced to a genuine business use, so the deduction was proper. Now, you got to love that. I know, you just got to love that kind of stuff. Now, do you ever want to be a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff? I should do. Just the things that the IRS talks about and make decisions on that you can use. They've set a precedence when you're actually negotiating with them or even fighting them. First of all, let's talk about the remedy for collection actions. So the IRS has occasionally allowed the taxpayer to contest matters relating to the actions of the collection division. Now, here's some examples. Failure to grant the taxpayer an installment agreement, not accepting an offer in compromise, enforcing a levy, not contesting collection actions. The file form 12153 has requested for a collection due process hearing or the equivalent to have an IRS appeals office hearing. Satisfied at the appeals office, you can petition to the U.S. tax court for reconsideration, but there is a trap here. The tax court has no jurisdiction to consider your case unless you can prove that you've raised the issue that you want the court to rule on during your collection due process hearing. So the strategy is this. Always, always, always document by sending a letter to the IRS that you ask the appeals office to consider the issues that you've raised. That is what you need to do to protect yourself. How about this? The Freedom of Information Act permits you to ask the IRS for copies of all documents in its possession relating to your audit, examination, or collection proceeding. The request is made by addressing a letter to the local disclosure officer of the IRS and identifying the documents that you want. Now, a request should be made for all documents in your possession relating to a specific matter. The problems here? Sometimes disclosure office co-workers will tell you that the documents that you've requested are not available, even though they really are. Your best approach? Speak to a manager and ask him or her to review the case because it appears that information that you've requested has been omitted. That'll take care of your problem, I promise you. How about this? Make sure that it's in writing when you're dealing with the IRS. Creating a written record is very important if you later need to prove either that you took a certain action or that someone at the IRS was supposed to remedy a problem. Let me give you an example. Let's just say you filed an amended return reflecting a refund but did not receive a check within the 90 days. What do? You send the IRS a letter setting forth the date that you filed the amended return and requesting that it process the return and send you a check. Also, in that letter, ask the IRS to confirm that it received the amended return. Failure to create such a written record, especially if you didn't send the return by certified or registered mail, will make it difficult and maybe even impossible to prove that you filed a return should the deadline for filing actually pass without your refund actually showing up. So that's one of the things you certainly want to be careful about. And let's give you one more here. Tax consequences when money is stolen or embezzled. Generally, any gain realized as a result of unlawful conduct is required to be included in gross income of the person who stole or embezzled that money, even though the money may be returned to its owners. Now, when the person has unrestricted control of money that does not belong to him or her, that money will be subject to federal income tax. The example here, a person who works as a bookkeeper and writes checks to himself without the knowledge of and consent of his employer, the amount of the checks will be added to the person's taxable income. Now, if money is later returned, a deduction may be available. So that's one of the things that you want to keep in mind. Now, don't go away, because when we come